So, Zinedine Zidane surprised everybody and decides to leave Real Madrid. And everybody means everybody was surprised, including the president. The president did not expect that. He heard about it, as he said in the press conference yesterday when Zidane told him. And he tried to convince him, Florentino, to stay, but he knew that Zidane had taken his decision. Similar conversation that Zidane had had with the president of Real Madrid when he left as a player, a year before the end of his contract. He had taken his decision, and that was that. Now, what's interesting is only the 30th of March, he was saying, of course I want to continue at Real Madrid. But before that, he said that in a press conference, and he said, who wouldn't want to stay at Real Madrid? But just before that, around January, February, when the team was giving signs that they were not responding to his demands in the league, especially when they had almost given up on the league as early as December. Basically, Real Madrid thought that Zidane could leave at the end of the season. Okay. Now, time goes, and they, Real Madrid, as they have to do, they started looking around and they looked at different possibilities. We'll get into that a bit later. But then they were convinced, especially by the run of Real Madrid in the Champions League, that Zinedine Zidane was going to stay. And there were no indications that it was going to be otherwise just after the Champions League final or on the night of the Champions League final. But 3 days later, he just goes and says that he leaves. Now, is it 3 days later? 4 days later? Whatever. Anyway, once Zinedine Zidane takes that decision, he tells the president, and then he tells Sergio Ramos. He spoke to Sergio Ramos, but nobody else in the squad. And he messaged the players. That message arrived to the players, and he plans to talk to the captains in the next few hours. But why? Why has he left? He's given little clues, but one in particular, which I think is very relevant, and it is the one where he actually says that I've got it here. It says, if I don't see things clearly, if I don't see things going the way I want them to go, it's better to leave. And that has to do with a team that wins a lot. It's harder for them to continue winning, as they've shown in what it is the bigger competition, the league. I said all along in the last few weeks, if you think as a coach and you have the players every day and you train them and they fail you in the competition that shows how good a coach you are, in the one that shows that the work you put in training can be converted into victories, which is the league, means that something is missing there. If also, on top of that, at the end of the Champions League final, you actually get the likes of Cristiano saying, making it all about himself and saying that he wants to leave, and then Gareth Bale also saying, we'll see about my future, and there will be a meeting between Jonathan Barnett and the José Ángel Sánchez and or the president of Real Madrid, Florentino Perez. Jonathan Barnett is going away on business to the States. After that, in 10 days or so, 2 weeks, that's when it's expected that meeting will take place, but we'll see what happens now. That was the expectations before. Now, that will be a conversation on the lines of, do you want Gareth Bale to be important to the side? Is he going to be important to the side? Zidane is going to have to change the way he thinks. That was the kind of conversation that we're going to have. But of course, now it all changes. And I think it favors Gareth Bale, because whoever comes next, and as I say, we'll talk about that in a minute, they will have to consider that Gareth Bale wants more protagonism, but he's ready to take it on as well. For whatever reason, Zidane has seen Isco or Marco Asensio or Lucas Vázquez as a better alternative in the past. But are they really better alternatives? If you give the confidence to Gareth Bale, if you give him more influence in the side, then you feel that you're going to get the Gareth Bale that you saw at the end of the Kiev Champions League final. I think you can, but you have to give him confidence. And it was like a catch-22, because the more Zidane was showing lack of confidence by leaving him out of the lineup against Bayern, Juventus, PSG, and then in the final, the less he can give you, because you are eroding his confidence. He suffered because of it, quite clearly, but it was only in the last month that he realized that he had to fight that by showing in the time that he was given that he was good enough to start for Real Madrid. That's what he wants to be given some kind of guarantee that he's going to be important to the side. Not so much how many minutes he's going to play, how many times he's going to be in the lineup, but certainly is he going to be important? Because if he isn't, then I think the demand from the agents will be then let him go. But as I say, it all changes now. Let's see who comes next. On Zidane, remember how he came about as a manager of Real Madrid when Rafa Benitez was kicked out. Florentino Perez considered Jose Mourinho, decided that wasn't a good decision. Jose didn't push his candidacy either. So then Sergio Ramos and Cristiano Ronaldo, both in separate meals with Florentino Perez, said to the president, Zidane is the one. But the reports that Florentino Perez had on Zidane as a coach were very negative. They weren't very impressed with the job that he was doing in Castilla, Real Madrid B, and that has to do because of the kind of manager he is. Not so much of a coach, a manager. He's not one to change a game during a game. He's not the one to change formations to prepare the team to have different layers. He's not that kind of coach. He's one to motivate and to manage the balance of the squad, the egos. He was better suited, funnily enough, for Real Madrid A, for the senior side, than for Real Madrid B. And that was what both Cristiano Ronaldo and Sergio Ramos, who had spoken with Zidane at that point, decided that it was good for Real Madrid to have somebody that will maintain the hierarchies and will do things a little bit like the players wanted, but with certain independence to take decisions, like, as we saw later on, convincing Cristiano to rest, leaving Bale out of the equation, out of the squad, out of the lineup, and also Benzema sometimes. So he has been doing that because he's got that smell of the former players. He knows who will be good for him and who can give him. But perhaps he feels now that that method has run its course. Everybody knows what his reactions are. Everybody knows who his favorite players are. That Benzema is protected for a reason, not a personal reason. He feels that he links the midfield very well. Not everybody agreed, but he showed in the Kiev final that certainly he can do that job. The problem is Benzema in the league did not score enough. So I think it's 8 goals in all competitions, something like that, or 9. Now, hard decisions will have to be taken now. For instance, maybe getting rid of Benzema, and Zidane perhaps didn't want to do that. Or, between Cristiano and Bale having to decide on one. Why does he want to do that? Or why does he have to do that? Maybe he didn't want to do any of that. Certainly he felt that the balance of the squad had to be addressed with somebody else, with a new voice. He felt it was the right time to leave. And winning 9 titles out of 13 is a sign that he's done a job. He can now go. And that's what he feels, that it's the right time to leave. It goes back to what Pep Guardiola said when he left Barcelona. If I continue, we will hurt each other, because he had developed this close relationship with players, but players that he had to part with, and he didn't want to be part of that. And Zidane perhaps is the same. Zidane, who would like to be the national coach of France at some point, perhaps after a little rest, or perhaps after the World Cup. We will see. And what next for Real Madrid? He has taken them by surprise. There is Arsene Wenger, who, of course, Florentino Perez has tried to get twice before. As Arsene Wenger explained himself, in a period where he promised he will stay for a period of 5 years to the banks. He promised that to the banks. Real Madrid came in the middle and he said no. He's a club that he's got a soft spot for. It is a team that right now needs safe hands and somebody who is more of a manager than a coach. So it could be certainly a solution. We'll have to hear in the next few days to see what calls are going to be made. About Mauricio Pochettino, quite clearly, Florentino Perez wants Mauricio Pochettino at Real Madrid at some point. There's no doubt about that. The problem is, it's now a good time for Mauricio. And you have to wonder, a new contract has been signed. The previous contract didn't have a buyout clause. I imagine that a new contract will mean that there will be possibilities if a club comes for him to leave. I'm just guessing. If I had to sign a new contract for the Spurs, that's what I would do. But in any case, there's a new stadium. He's been talking to the players in the sense that he wants to continue. They should continue as well, the players. They're still, after especially a year where, yes, they played in Wembley, but that's away. It's like playing away twice. Playing away when they play away and playing away at Wembley. Now they're going home, going to a new stadium. Real Madrid will always be there. If it's not now, it will always be there. As you heard from Arsene Wenger, he's been approached 2 or 3 times. So it seems to me Mauricio Pochettino should stay at Spurs, but football is a funny business. I think he will, but Florentino Perez, I'm sure, will insist. Daniel Levy won't make it any easy to let him go. Allegri, how about that one? Allegri is behaves, looks, talks, and wins like a Real Madrid manager. He's negotiating a new contract with Juventus. Yes, he's been talking about staying, but also he's been debating if he should. And there's more people at the club that at some point may get to be the managers of Real Madrid. Guti, Solari, but I wonder if it's a little bit too early for them. These are the names that we'll throw into the equation, because others that have been linked in the past, like Tuchel, is of course at PSG. Unai Emery, who was fancied as well at some point, but of course he's now at Arsenal. There isn't anybody that has impressed in Spain that could take that jump to go from doing well in Spain, say at Villarreal or at Valencia, and then going to Real Madrid. I don't see that happening right now. Marcelino very closely linked to what's happening at Valencia there and enjoying that. So those are the names for now, the names that I can think from the top of my head, but I'm sure there will be more possibilities to talk about all that in the near future. Meanwhile, Zidane has left. This club is a winning club, and the players will accept whatever comes, but it will be right now in the kind of a squad that they have. It will have to be somebody that understands the responsibility of obligations of a manager at Real Madrid. They will not take part on the big decisions, or not a big part in the big decisions of the future of their players, or the players that have to come in. The dream of Florentino is to get Neymar. PSG is saying no chance. The summer will be very long, and we'll see what happens with all of that. But the manager that comes in will have to understand that he is representing a club, a winning club, and he has to understand his role as well. And he will have to work with what it is a very close group of people that takes decisions there, which is Florentino Perez and Jose Angel Sanchez, the number 2 at the club and the one who runs the day-to-day. So fascinating times at Real Madrid, and I leave you with that, and hopefully we'll keep talking about Real Madrid, soon the World Cup, and many other things. Cheers, bye.